And welcome back to the channel for another week in the workshop, and hopefully this afternoon I'm going to be able to get on with cutting the shape to the door panels and to be able to start on the panel raising. That's my hope. I had a little bit of a setback to start with, because you'll remember that last time I cut the formers for the top rails on the doors, so that's going to provide the shape, and I thought that was it. But during the week I realised, no, I needed a counterpart to those so that I can cut the male section of, if you like, the joint on the door panels. So what I've done is just in the same no, it's 18mm, isn't it? Last week I said it was 12mm MDF. 18mm MDF. I've just cut the counterparts to those. So that's the door rail, that's the door top, and I know there's a gap there. It's not ideal, but I think that should do. So that's where I started this afternoon. Next thing is to get the door panels and mark where I need to cut those, and then decide how I'm going to cut those. Now here I've got one of the left hand cupboard door panels, and so that's how the template will go. I've just got to make sure it's in the right position so it's evenly spaced at either end. But how do I cut that? Now I could, like I did with these templates, I could cut them on the bandsaw. But there's such a long distance here, it's not going to be very stable. So what I thought, if I roughly trim, I'll mark where I want to cut, yes, but if I roughly cut the corners off with the bandsaw, then what I think I'm going to do is put the router cutter in the bench router. So that's the one that will, with the guide bush, follow the template and provide a flush cut. So yeah, I think I'm going to do that. Because that will go right to the top there. So long as that's there and I've got an equal amount both sides, all I need to do is make sure that that is stuck down well with the double-sided tape. Right, let me clear the bench, fit the flush cutter, and then I can make a start there. Right, so I've got the 4 boards here. The first thing to do is make sure that the top of the template is flush with the top of the workpiece, which it is. Now I've made sure the panel is 290 for this, and this is 276, so there's a 14mm difference. So to make sure it's even, I've set the gauge to 7mm and make sure that everything is even. So not quite. That's about right. Okay. And of course I've just realised I need to make sure it's even top and bottom as well. Yeah. So that's where the cut line is going to go when that's in place. So I'm going to just cut that piece off on all of them with the jigsaw. That way the router cutter isn't going to be working as hard and it's going to be a little easier to control. So that's that. I'm just going to mark the other three, and then I can start cutting. Right, now the jigsaw I use is this Bosch GST 90BE, and I've got the blade in. It's quite a fine blade for a clean cut with hardwood. And as I said, I'm just going to cut off the corners. So and that wasn't supposed to happen. Those blades are supposed to stop in. There we are, just a rough cut. Do the other three panels, then we can go on to the bench router. Now when it comes to using the double-sided tape, I think what I'm going to do is make sure it doesn't move by putting two pieces across there. So one, two. Now, can I get the backing off? Yeah. And then just make sure the edge touches where the pencil line is. That's firmly attached, so make sure the vacuum's attached. Oops, that's that. That's that. And make sure the router's plugged in. for this I want fairly high speed. Right, here we go. That's a nice contour to that. That's worked out very nicely. So let's do the other three. And that's gone very, very well. Lovely finishes on that. And oops. The only problem with using two pieces of the double-sided tape, it is at times a little difficult to remove. So that's that. Now I've set the panel raising cutter in, and because I've moved it from last time I tried, what I want to do is just test how it's going to be cutting, because it's such a big cutter. The last time I used it, if you like, in anger, was with the sewing cabinet, and I found that with me trying to take the whole lot off in one pass, it did tend to burn and scorch a little. So I just want to test with this scrap piece how it's going to cut, because the last thing I want is to ruin the boards, because I have nothing to replace them with. So here we go. And again, helps if you plug it in. Now, you'll have noticed it really biting in, so that's going to be a problem. I'm not quite sure how to deal with it. I could bring the fence forward repeatedly. Well, I say bring it forward and then take it back repeatedly. That way I'm only going to be taking a little bit off. So, alright, see how that goes. Now that was a lot better. So that's left that thickness, and there's the gauge. Now that's 7mm. Okay, so if that was cutting nicely. So if I now take it back a little and try that. That was a nice second pass, and that has taken the edge to 6mm. Yeah, so that's what I'm going to have to do. I'm going to have to go round several times. Okay, well that's going to slow me down, but as I said, the last thing I want is to ruin boards because of catching, dragging, sniping, whatever it's called. But that has left a lovely smooth edge, and just there, you won't be able to see it on camera, but I can actually feel the cut straightening out. That's straight, and then the rise comes. So how big is that? That's about 6mm. So yeah, I'll bring it forward slightly, and the height's fine because the height is decided by the cutter itself. Right, what I've done is marked at both ends of the fence where I need to position the fence for two passes, and that's going to be fine. But it's okay when I'm doing the straight pass, those two sides and the bottom. I've just come up with the problem of how do I manage the curved section. Because when I was using the flush trim, I had to push the fence quite a way back to allow for the curve, because cutting here is fine, but when I'm cutting the down either side, this top is interfering. It's not giving me enough clearance, because as I come across there, that bit is going to cut nicely, but because of where the summit of the curve is here, it's not going to allow me to get the cutter near the this bit here and its equivalent here. To do that, I'm going to have to push the the fence back about 20mm, which will then open me up to it sniping again. So again, this is going to take some thinking about, and it's not something I'm going to be trying today. Okay, so that's as far as I'm going to go for today. as I said, I've got quite a bit of thinking to do as to how to get round this next little problem, but I think we'll come up with something for next week. And in the meantime, thanks ever so much for coming along with me on this journey, and I'll see you next time.